Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at round one of D.LEAGUE from the 2023-2024 season. This is going to be a match between Benefit 1 MONOLIZ versus LIFULL Alt Rhythm. So I do know I have a list of all of the matches. I believe this is match 2 that happened in the round 1. And I do know the scoring, but we'll talk about the scoring after we take a watch. How this is going to work, I'm going to watch each one independently and do an analysis with each, and then I'm going to take a look at the judges' feedback and see what they have to say and why they chose who they chose, or why certain criteria that they have are based the way that they are. I did also take a look after watching match 1 to really kind of see what are the judges' criteria, and they're pretty, they're pretty standard in comparison to most other criterias, and I don't have it written down right here, but I know eventually I will. So, and I'll become pretty fluent on what judges look for this particular league. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started. A really nice way to get rid of their veils. Okay, on the back walkovers. Such impressiveness of skill. Yes. Wow! We have a little bit of studio technique represented here, which is very fun. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. That's so pretty. That was so gorgeous. That was awesome. All right, let's talk about it. So from the top, really heavy on tutting, really heavy on whacking. Overall, we did see a little sneaking in of some chaîné, some turns, some pirouettes, with a little bit of some rond-de-jambe layers in there, but we're going to take a look here. I love the aesthetic of this. It's like they're getting married. The accents of the red gloves, I kind of feel like that's more going to be a signature or a fingerprint of their costuming, and I love it. Notice that they drug that power dynamic down, and then we slowed it down right here when we got to our center person, traveled it back to the other side, creating this brought it up. Really great on the angles here, super fun. Everybody is being accented that's in the front V, but the person who is up at the top hasn't really moved quite as much. I also look that even though they have their heads in veils, they are doing a great job of making sure their head is in line the way that it needs to in order for the line to remain symmetrical on both sides. I do think there was just some baby refinement that could have happened about right here and right here. And also notice with the headpiece, some of them don't quite have it on as well as others do, but it still looks like it's pretty on there, and it didn't come off prematurely. So that's totally fine. This was gorgeous, having just the simplicity of the shift with the arms and having our dancer in the center turn, gorgeous. It's like a ballerina on a ballet box. I love it. And then having them use their hands to help direct everybody to transition away. And the lighting is just gorgeous, guys. Having this here, it's just, oh man, I feel like it's going to be a bucket list thing for me as a creative. I think it would be awesome to go and watch this live. I think that would be, you know, it's just, I think my mind would be blown. There's nothing like watching art live, man. I love this here. Boom. They cut to another camera, but we know this is live, one take. This right here, having one arm as your fixed point, bringing everything to frame and build upon it is just gorgeous. And it just makes it very captivating. They framed him on the other side, and then they used their head to really kind of channel and make it more intimate in the switching of energy between the two hands. Switching. Do you see? I have it at 0.75. You see how quick they're changing their positions. Time to appreciate music. Here we go. Dun 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 dun, and we need a dun dun dun. Right there, they go, and they use their chest to help build that of to the other side. Yeah, and then they go, and it's so. This is so nice. I love these musicality moments. Yeah, right there, bringing it, and then it has a sense of speediness, right? And it kind of feels like we quicken the pace. So you notice that their transitions are becoming more tight knit, or they're quicker, getting to and from their positions, and that's really great. And they're still hitting that dun 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 dun. It does give energy. This has way more Vogue framing and their usage of their tuts, more so than Mana Queen from Street Woman Fighter and their Mega Crew. They did use more of an orchestra style, and also note for them, they use whacking to help justify a lot of the violins and the strings. And here they're using more tuts and twirls, and I love it. I will say my one note is it's not even a note, it's not even a preference, it's just something I've noticed. We are choosing to start or like set up here in this position, you know, and then we have the switch happen and bringing it out and building. So we're kind of keeping it here versus as much depth from the front and the back, but also I understand why they're making this choice because it projects better to the front. It's gorgeous, and it actually allows your features to have more moments to hit that depth for you. So they keep it more on that 2D line, maybe project to the front, but not really as much to the back. They did near the beginning, especially when they're here in their angle. That was great, but here it's staying pretty linear, right? And I'm very curious about what the judges are going to say, maybe as a possible setback. It is hard. It's hard to find setbacks with really elite level content, and that's why you have to look at. You have to look at it. Or you have to grow and always be a student and observe, take in, absorb. Observe, absorb. Be a student, be a steward, and try to practice articulating or expressing, because that is a form of teaching. So the fact that I'm walking and talking through these routines helps me be able to be better at teaching myself as well as teaching those around me, and it helps me process what I'm watching a little bit better, because I am technically verbally processing, just in a very very extroverted way through YouTube, you know, YouTube Patreon. So this is super fun though. I love that they chose to have one person more centered, doing more of a figure eight, and then everybody else framing it towards the outside, bringing it back in. Always so impressive. So they chose to do more staccato, then they had a legato to break it up. Gorgeous choice, and very, very well done. It's always a risk when you have a pop of color on your hands. They're doing it so well. Slow it down that second time. Now, they did choose to repeat it about 3 times is what it looks like there. Totally fine. They changed the formations and levels, but whenever you're against a fellow elite group, could that be something that could be a potential setback for you? Possibly, and when you repeat content longer than once. But I don't see an issue with it. This was really nice as a canon. That was a great, great way to showcase that. Yes, bringing everybody back together. Love that. Gorgeous. Boom, boom. Great on speed change. Having your center, be centered, and then everybody throwing and making a moment out of the veils. Love the little cartwheels, but I would say point your feet. That's my big note. I love that they create a line using their legs, not just their arms. That was beautiful partner work here. So they go and it kind of looks like, you know, when you see people do like the ballroom dancing or like flamenco or just that kind of aesthetic. They do a really good job of kind of weaving each other through or threading each other through, and it builds so well. And you have those moments shared between those four, then they break up. Notice we have so much cognitive dissonance displayed here. Notice that vacuum sound being pulled is really cool here. Back walk over, I'm going to say the same note. Whenever you do back walk over, make sure that leg is fully straightened as you finish your back walk over. And I think that they did a pretty good job of that, but I do think just that we didn't quite straighten it as fast. Yeah, notice that we hit here and it was a little bit sickled, and then they brought it back. So that would just be my overall thing. Just try to straighten those legs a little bit sooner. Having the moment with our two tutters. Then right here, having, just look at how long and far they're going in that extension. It's gorgeous. Then having them frame out is so nice. Look at that. Yes to that. Gorgeous. So I love the tension that's building here. So they're hitting that abnormally long violin sound that's taking place, and that's what they're hitting in the bottom. And at the top, they're trying to maintain the intensity by showcasing it with their upper body. There's just so much depth to this, and it's absolutely gorgeous to watch. Yeah, I love that wave, boom, and I love the commitment of throwing that head back. It's so fun. Yes, love that. I love the lighting change. It really helps build with them. Yeah. I love that bringing over, and then we bring it back to the front. Notice it sounds like it's like a kettle that's getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. Very, very similarly, it's like cognitive dissonance. It prevents more anxiety because you're like, when is it going to stop? It's like that. It's just whenever you hear sounds that are supposed to, normally we have a conclusion to them, but this feels like an open-ended conclusion, so it provokes more anxiety for the sound, and we don't know how it's going to finish. And that's why it's important to have those. That's gorgeous. Da 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 da. Boom, the red. Gosh, the depth of this track. I love it. With that boom, doo 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 doo, and that's how we're hitting with that red down below, and they're hitting it up at the top. Yeah. Doo 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 doo, dun dun dun, dun 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 dun. So notice that we have such breath to what they were doing, but also they can be very intense and very technically arousing is what it's also presenting as well. Everyone's very clean, and honestly we're seeing a lot of unison, but they're doing a good job of mirroring. They're doing a good job of transitioning through the unison, and they're not just staying there forever. But notice though, we do have some moments where they do have a lot of stationary unison content, but the content is very, very complex, which justifies its okayness to basically be still as you do that, you know? I mean, that's great. That was really nice, and I love having this pulsing happen here. I think that's going to be a trend. We always have these groups spotlighted, but then these also groups that are more in the shadows. This kind of stuff, what you do here matters, I think, a little bit more than on other stages, because the lighting is great. You're putting on a show, but then you're also being voted on, right? By your audience. There's an audience vote here, and they count as one of the 6 votes. And yes, you can tie, and I actually think these two in this match tied, is what my score sheet says. But it is important what you do here, and I really like it whenever we're not still, just existing in the space, if there's not a reason to be just existing in the space. Whenever you can add or contribute in some way to help frame, but maybe just over onto the side. I absolutely love their choice over here, and then them having their moment over here is just so nice. They also are doing a fabulous job of being consistent, probably in the dry runs, to where this showcases the way that it does. It just shows you how competent they are at what they are doing, because the lighting is spot on, but it's pre-programmed, you know, because they probably had a dry rehearsal, they probably ran through it, and they got to program their lights then, and that's why we get to see this beautiful thing now. I hate when YouTube does that, but going back. And they rebounded the usage of the head, their commitment to their head. They're not just isolating and bringing it through and doing whatever they want with it. They're allowing their head to move in a way that's tasteful to how they're choosing to set up their variations, but everybody's committing to it, which is what helps it up the complexity, because it is polyrhythmic and there's a lot of depth. It's very 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional with their approach, and I love it. This is gorgeous. I love this here where they're all having this moment where they're peeling out. So there's like a whole ripple happening over here. Now notice we're here. We set it up and we're doing a single double into an illusion. Now what would have made that more impressive is if we fully extended those legs, really pulled the energy, using that inner thigh to really get that leg up in the extension, pointing the foot, trying to avoid sickling it. And if you didn't put your arms down, the illusion would have been very nice and you would have upped the difficulty of the stability of that variation. Prep. And also whenever she stepped, she actually stepped with her foot facing towards the inside, so my note would be to make sure you're parallel. But noticing how the overall aesthetic, it did look like they were turning in, but if they turned out, they would have had a ballet. That was more of a jazz turn, but they could have made it a ballet turn. It would have matched the overall timbre of the track much more effectively, and their setup would have been turned out as well. I think it would have made it have a more allongé, proper form to the aesthetic. Into the illusion. That was nice, but going from a jazz turn into an illusion makes more sense in sequence than going from a ballet turn into an illusion. Normally a ballet turn, an attitude would be more appropriate. A fouette, all the séquences and fouettes, those are different based on the style in which you do them in, because they're not the same style. And I love that drag turn. It was very pretty. Having this moment here with that little lift kick over, right over into that that kind of cartwheel aesthetic, just pointing that foot as you bring it down, because we can still see it. Gorgeous. And just the dress, let's just make it so fun. Yeah, that right there. Boom, and just tweak. Such depth to this. Like we're knocking on a door, and then we have these moments where they have these moments of just elegance and grace, but then these moments of just unhuman-like, you know, and that's what gives it this potentially anxiety heavy kind of concept, because it makes you feel like, oh, they have such grace and I see them beautifully, but then they cause me some concern of my well-being because I don't know what they're gonna do. And that's what cognitive dissonance is, like I've already mentioned, and that's why I think they're exuding that brilliantly here. This is gorgeous there. And then they bring it up, boom, boom, boom. Then they have their moment, having everybody over here doing a little bit of figure eights, dropping it down, love it. Boom. Bringing it through. Also, I feel like how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think they only have 8 dancers once again. Yeah, because that's the rule, is you only have 8 dancers. This having their moment here, everybody in complete darkness, but then having this moment with the spotlight is gorgeous. Pulling it through. Really nice. I think it looked like they were trying to do a rolling tensica. More like we call it like a spider, where it's like your head is moving in one direction. When you go, yeah, because they're going through, that's a spider. But whenever you go from a bridge, it's a rolling tensica. So they were doing a kind of skill. They need to point their feet and make sure they're not crunching in their lower back when they do that. And then they set it up, boom, and then they roll back down in reversal. Love this. You notice the spacing just slightly off. You have one of them a little bit closer than the other individual. Having this set up like this, I love it. The framing, I love how we switch. But notice they're a little bit too much in the light versus they needed to scoot over just a smidgen in order for this formation to have looked this well. Yeah, the framing of that, having that moment, that tension there, having that feature, great usage of levels, fabulous job of levels and dynamics throughout the entire routine. Right there too, and then we have this explosion of energy from 4 people, and then they branch away, creating bigger space, but noticing that we're still having a lot of choices and utilization throughout the space, not just keeping it internal to the body, which I love that. That right there, boom, and then they did a speed change. That was cool. Yeah, and that whole sequence, boom, boom, and then we have a big finish. Right there. Ooh, noticing that it all went out and then back in. That really felt like just like a wave of energy. That was gorgeous. There you go. And then they dive down. Look how seamless that was. Ooh, they didn't have anybody get sticky as they finished. They dropped down. Now we're down into, like, some people have bridges, but now they're doing a bridge retro, which means that they're lifting the leg into that passe position. Really nice, but notice just slightly off in the spacing. This was gorgeous, though. What a finish. That was awesome. That was great. I very much enjoyed that. Let's go ahead and check out the next group.
That when life don't go your way, go on, it's your face, let them worries wash away. No days seem dark and gloomy, all heartstrings need some tuning.
cute.
Coming soon, so come on.
Nice.
Raindrops go pitter-patter, can't get better than that.
Ah.
What a sunny day!
Coming again.
There's your 8.
Surrounded by my friends. Laughter's that medicine that it
This is
keeps
really
me.
cute.
Sometimes life's confusing, like a game we're losing, keeping on going on with a smile.
Nice.
Sudden showers give us joy for hours, all around adventure for a while.
That was nice. That was fun. Beautiful. Very clean. Wow.
It's showtime!
Yes. I was waiting for the style change, and this is really fun. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was cute. That was cute. It just feels like joy. That was really enjoyable. I very much enjoyed that. So when I look at my notes here, it showed that the audience, I think, gave the vote to them. They won the audience vote. So it ended up being a tie between Benefit 1 and LIFULL Alt Rhythm. So let's talk about it. For me, I feel that when it comes to difficulty, I really think that MONOLIZ brought it. But however, remember, I'm coming in, this is a 2023-2024 season, so there's a lot of this that is newer to me when it comes to the collaboration of just being able to go for it on concepts. I'm not used to that, and so it's really beautiful for me to see the high caliber synchronicity, skills, musicality, and music production mixed with concepts, because normally I don't get that as much, like I've said, and so it's just, my brain is still in that calibration phase, hence why I went ahead and just recorded the scoring for this. But I know in future matches I'll probably take my guess and then I'll look at the judges feedback, because they reveal the scoring there. But going from here for the top, I love how they set this up. I love how still he is. It really gives off this, he's a statue, and then they're all hiding under the rain, and they're like, you know, sounds like a car kind of got her all wet, and they're like, oh, thanks for covering for us. They all laugh, have that moment. But look, hey, he was a statue, and then look, they're like, hey, he moved, and then they all have that moment. Really cute. It's called By My Side, bringing it through. I love how they chose to reveal each member. That was really fun. And they go and they're like, oh, it's somebody new. And then having this boom, boom, that was a really fun choice of the switching of the face. That was really fun. With the head ISO, really nice. And that, how they carried him. Great usage of that sound on the lift. Yeah, raindrops go pitter-patter. This does read very Keone and Mari to me, and I'm such a huge respect for them as creatives, and I think they definitely were innovative in a lot of partner work, especially, and we see a lot of media shift because of their impact. So I think that this does, when it comes to concepts like this, whenever we have that sense of joy but synchronicity behind it and those intricacies within it, it is hard to not note Keone and Mari, but I'm not saying that they're the reason why this exists. It's just, there's just a notable key figure on that concept in media today. I love that too. Boom, boom, and da-da-da. Do I think that we're not doing as much? There's not as, I'll put it this way, there's not as much layers to this type of music like what we were seeing from MONOLIZ, Benefit 1. And I feel that they definitely had the upper hand on complexity. Now, do I think that they were repeating a little bit of their dynamics a little too much? Possibly. And so I can understand that type of intensity of when you make people uncomfortable, some people don't like that. That's also another thing. It did mess around with emotions more. It was more intense. And some people, depending on, you know, whether they see one or the other, a lot of times you look at, what's the word? Whenever you're picking out of the two, some people tend to lean more towards positive sets versus very neurotic sets, like what we saw. But I really love the creativity on how they reveal people. I love that bouncing in the back. It really does feel like we're in a musical or in an animated film. That's very impressive here because they're so clean. Like having that bouncing right there in the back, the commitment he had for 30 seconds to just lean in that. They're something boom, 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 and then they're building the energy as he resets with that prop. He throws it, sitting it down, swimming through. I have seen that type of transition before, but I really like their placement there. Sunny, ooh, I just love the gimmickiness of this. This is a beautiful example of synchronicity but individuality, you know. And I think that's just an overhanging topic that we talk about a lot more nowadays. I think with some of the K-pop reactions I've been doing, that's a big topic. Is are we able to appreciate synchronicity without sacrificing individuality? I think there's a healthy balance of both, and this is a brilliant example of that. Where everybody's having their own moment, but notice the overall dynamics are in sync with each other, how they're stepping, their box steps, their energy of their carriage of their body. It's all matching and allowing everyone to have those moments. Love that. Love that side tuck position, which was super dope. Nice little sugars right here. Just doing a la seconde, but not like a true a la seconde. I do see that more in Broadway, that kind of format. I think it looks really fun. Turns it around, and they swim it all the way down. That was gorgeous. I do think we could have slid it a little bit more refined, and then in the prep, bringing it back up into the cartwheel. Gorgeous on that. The kicks, a little Charleston vibes, a little da-da-da-da-da-da. So it's still upbeat, full of energy, telling a story. I love it. They bring it through. Back handspring, back handspring, back handspring, back handspring, and you hit the percussion, do-do-do-do-do, and a back layout. Awesome. And then right here, it's showtime. Now this was super nice. Notice that was more, it's more whacking here. Because of the placement and the stylization of the hands, which I love that. And that little, Yep, I love that with a little sidewalk. Mix a little bit of house influence on that. Gorgeous. I love the run with the speed change there. Yeah, I think the speed change could have been a little bit more refined. It did feel a bit placed with a little bit of a staggering that's taking place. So just keeping it very right into it from start to finish would have been really nice on everybody. Then they finish. That's really hard to do, to go here and have to hold it. That's impressive. I love that. Swing through. I love the little style. You know, it feels very, that felt very Broadway, like Newsies vibe, which I loved. The kicks around. And I know this is the kind of group, they're going to exude this kind of aesthetic because their crew preview really showcased that they have that more gregarious mindset as a crew. And that's so nice to see. And maybe whenever you have, you also have to think placement of when these routines performed in the show. Because if they were in the show and let's say everything that's gone before them was about as intense as MONOLIZ was, then people are going to treat this more like a breath of fresh air. Remember, the audience, some of them are considered laymen, meaning that they don't have professional training in it, but they've seen it enough to kind of have some level of objectivity of what's good and what's not good. But everything here is good. So that's what makes it really hard, honestly, you know? But I think this is super, super great so far. Yeah, I mean, he just falls. The commitment to that fall was so good. They're all laughing. Like, what? Yeah, commitment to the performance is beautiful here. And that's another thing, too. They're definitely one of the best in performing. Stability was just slightly off. Notice some people were kind of working through. Some people were kind of shifting their weight, which means if you just worry about where you place your weight on that ball of that foot, you're going to be sitting a lot prettier on your stability side. That was still really nice. No one fell out of it. Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yep, very full. Yeah, it just feels like a musical of joy. Honestly, it feels like Inside Out at a park. You know, Disney. Very Disney. Turn around, ta ta ta. Yes, just this full progression with the swings and the range and the fixed points of the head in order to allow that range to take place. It's really nice. The formations look super fun. Everybody, it feels like everybody's featured in some way, shape, or form. Bringing it through. Marches with the extra version of the hands, like they're walking with a purpose. Bringing it through. Now we just see him set up here, but I love the fact that he's up as a statue and he finishes. They're all like, and they all get wet. And it just feels very joyful, and he still is a statue. Yeah, that just felt very fun and joyful, and it just felt kind, you know. And it's really nice to be able. It's really nice to be able to see that so many different concepts are able to be presented, and the level of commitment from every crew so far are showcasing these concepts in the way that they are. It's empowering and inspiring, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what the judges say about this, and how close of a match this was, because it's technically tied, and I'm curious as to what things, like I said, the judges put for the overall what had them be chosen over the category. So let's take a look at the judges' perspective.
シュールさとキャッチーさが個性の出し方がすごい上手なんです。サプライズがすごく多くて、始まる瞬間からワクワクする。
So that's kind of like that intro for us. Here we go.
Round 1, second match. Benefit 1, MONOLIZ.
MONOLIZ.
LIFULL, all rhythm.
This is actually helping me pronounce
Leto.
what they said.
Blue. Blue. Leto. Leto. Blue.
Freaking time, man.
セカンドマッチ、モノリス対アルトリなんですけども、モノリスの方に上げさせてもらいました。純白なドレスと赤の手袋のそのコントラストがすごく目を引いて良かったです。モノリスのチームカラーでウォークとまたワックをリンクさせるこれの相変わらずの安定感というか、すごくアームスのそのシンクロ具合もすごい良かったですし、作品通して
Synchronization of the arms was really good, and I think it was really worth watching. Without, it was the complete opposite. They're trying to make the audience happy. Yep, so they compromise complexity for the sake of performance and presence. There you go, yeah. You're gonna say it makes you really happy when you watch them. It is difficult. Rather than fighting, it was more about entertaining the audience, and that's how they're competing. He said it's difficult to compare this time, but looking back at all the things that made the people happy, they were 100% present. So it was a lot of fun. However, if you look at the creativity and the strength of the work of MONOLIZ, it showed more consistency. So I agree with that. Cats gave it to MONOLIZ. She was wearing a white wedding dress. They voted blue. Very moving, yep. It had a grotesqueness that drowned out the beauty of the white color. It made me forget that it was white. It had that kind of power. Yes, I agree with that. It had a haunting affair about it. Yeah. In terms of skills, it's not translating. So I wonder, they touched on the overall like other essences of, you know, pointing the feet, making sure that there was proper lines on some of the other aspects outside of their whacking and tutting and twirls. They were impressed by the expressiveness of the dancers, but the development was too fast and the content was limited to each piece. I thought it would have been more interesting if the main character had been a little more understandable, but I think they were showing the lift in the center, and I thought it was a shame that the main character had given the impression that it was too thin. Such a waste that the eyes looked narrow in the center. So she wanted to see more fullness of the stage. I agree with that. I feel like we were isolating our features a little too much, which wouldn't really carry that whole musical perspective. Shinichi.
これはアルトリ
Wow, 10.
今回のモノリス
Wow.
神の
He
質
gave a couple 10s. That's crazy.
綺麗だけど怖いイメージの
Theme is drawn
ダ
out.
ンスの
Beautiful but scary. Yep.
設定というか綺麗なゾンビみたいなイメージもあって
Stunning's beautiful with the zombie-like image, and for me, the depths of the
す
stage.
ごいスケール感の大きい
Fully realized.
ショーだったと思います彼女たちのテーマソング、ティナが歌ってる
Great sense of scale, their theme.
かっこいいな綺麗だけど
Song was
儚い
by Tina's really cool. It's beautiful.
モノリスの
It's rather
世界観
sad.
相変わらずたっぷり詰まったショーだったと思います
So he said it's full of their worldviews as usual,
相変わらず作り方が上手だなっていう
but in contrast,
ミュージカルとか
he appreciated the
映画のシーン
production.
をそのまま舞台に持ってきたようなドタバタがすごい楽しくて見てて思わずちょっと笑顔になるようなショーだったと思います、アルトリはメンバーがすごいみんなのびのび踊れてる印象があってそれがすごいやっぱりいつもいい印象を与えるのかな
Yeah, this is a really that was very enjoyable. Now, do I think that it deserved like a 10 on some of the categories? I personally wouldn't have given it a 10.
アルトリズムの方に入れま
I
し
would
た
give it like
ベニフィット・モ
wow.
リスさんの作品でテオファニーっていう神の
Is the appearance of a god
タイトルだったんですけ
called
ど
Perfectly.
新メンバーが
It's a new member.
されてかもうすごく今まで
History that I could feel.
パワーがしっかりあって強さもすごい
Okay.
伝わってきて、テオファニー
So they're really taking it from the approach of they're very familiar with these groups. I'm not as much yet.
もうモノリスさんのこの
Hence why some of these concepts are going to feel newer to me
もう素晴らしかった
than if I had seen 2 seasons prior and then seeing these same crews do the same
も
thing.
ったいないなっていう
Yeah, so talking about the floor work was a little weak on the synchronization, bit of a waste.
という作品だったんですけど、一人一人の個性
It was called Smile. It really captured. I love the bag trick. That was so cute.
頭と締めのこのスマイル
Yeah,
で
bronze statue.
全体的に作品に全く無駄がなく
No wastage in the work as a whole.
なんかすごく良かったんですけど、小道具って使っちゃったら終わりっていうのがよくあるんですけど、しっかり全ての小道具を最後まで使い切るっていうライフルさんの作品能力の高さっていうのもすごく伝わりました。見ている人をすごいハッピーにするアルトリらしい作品で色鮮やかな作品だったので、もう私はあっぱれっていう
Okay.
感じで
Very colorful work. She was very impressed. Rue.
セカンドステ
Rue
ージ
gave
が
it
モノリスさんに
to
させていただきました。テ
MONOLIZ.
ーマ性っていうのが鮮明に見えやすかったっていうのもそう
Made
で
it
すし、
clear and easy to see.
8人もすごい使い方が上手だったなっていうのを
Yeah.
すごく思ったので、テーマがしっかりあって世界観ががっつりあるものっていうのが伝わりやすいなっていうのがすごくあって、手袋もとても見えやすかったですし、手の動きが
Yes.
パワーもあって開幕戦らしくてよかったなと思い
Yes,
ました
I agree with that.
ライフルアルトリズムさんは
Felt like an opening game, but thought it was great.
本当に笑顔になってワクワク
I was already, yeah, it was very, very joyful.
だったんですけど、なんか最後になるにつれて、なんかもっと笑いたい、もっと笑顔になりたいってちょっと思って
Felt like I wanted to laugh more and smile more.
ワクワクして期待感が高まってしまった分、こう最後の最後にクライマックスにかけてもっと期待してしまった自分がいて、
She was expecting more near the end.
こう展開と
I understand that, yeah. It's very interesting with the development of various presentations, easy to see. So I feel like with skill and technical execution, you definitely had MONOLIZ definitely take the reins on that. When it comes to concept though, or like presentation, I really think that LIFULL Rhythm was very competitive in that nature. So I think Ty, totally understand it. I don't feel like that was completely out of bounds. And also, can I also say too that I appreciate that the audience does get a say, but they don't carry all of the weight. They only carry one out of, like, you have 5 judges and then you have an audience, right? So I feel like if you have 2 judges and an audience, like, you're still, like, it's still important for your to cater to who's watching, but also it's a, if you're gonna win, you're gonna win. Do you know what I mean? Not, or like even over here, like if you're gonna win, you're gonna win by a large margin. Like there's not, yeah, like it's just, I just find it really fun. It's just really enjoyable. I truly feel that way, and it makes me very excited to see what the rest have to offer. Because this is only the second match of round 1, and there's already 3 rounds out, so I have at least, so what is it? Words. 13. So we see 13 crews every week, but I know one of them doesn't compete, but they do more of an exhibition performance. So we are going to take a look at DYM messengers for round 1, but they're just not, it's just not a competitive one. They're not against anybody. But seeing 13 performances each round for like 14 rounds, that's a lot of concepts, which this just makes it super cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was helpful in some way. I am definitely living my pro gamer commentary, pro dance commentary life right now. I definitely feel like I had to put my thinking cap on and really dive deep in order to understand how some scoring could go, as well as I'm getting used to this format. It is different than what I'm used to. There is a lot of objectiveness about it that I'm very appreciative of. And I love the fact that I get to watch and analyze it. I can choose to write down the scoring or find out the scoring prior to the analysis, or I can choose to go in blind, and I'll be able to very quickly be able to look at the judge's perspective on it and do an immediate compare and contrast of agree to disagree stuff. And so far with both, I mean, I feel like with these judges, there is a bit of subjectiveness in it because they're going off of previous year's experiences, but also we have to factor in, I am coming in very, very different. Some of these things may impact me different than those judges, especially if they've been on this circuit for a couple of years now. Just like for me, with certain circuits, I'm very used to the format, I'm used to the criteria, and I'm used to what is presented on stage depending on the country. So it's, for me, it's a little bit more difficult to impress in that particular scope of criteria versus in this criteria, this one's much newer. There's new things that make it more exciting, or you can do more with. You know, so if you want to see more D.LEAGUE, you want to see more, I do K-pop reactions, I do dance concepts, dance content reactions, things of the like, because I love dance and I love seeing the art in multiple facets and multiple mediums, and this is a really great opportunity to do that. Once again, I am Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.